Okay, this stopped me in my tracks because a client literally said to me that they had never received a brief like the one I sent them. The other day, I saw an opportunity to help educate a client who had never worked with a designer before. And I knew that that could lead to a lot of education and discussion down the road. So I thought I would start off strong by sending them a brief, basically reiterating all the information they had already given me into a really nicely designed pitch deck. And I used that opportunity to help them understand my strategy and my goals and why I made the choices I made in my design. So they wrote me back, and I can't believe that they had never received something like this. It just shows that they hadn't worked with a designer before, but they said that the brief was exactly what the group needed and they were blown away. They had never seen something like this before. So it just shows you the power of a deck. They had minimal changes, I think, because I was able to explain all of my choices. And the best part is I used Adobe Express and I uploaded all my brand elements to my brand library there. This took me maybe an hour to do from start to finish, but I feel like it helped me avoid several hours of back and forth with the client. So Express is literally right there. It's in your Creative Cloud. It's so easy to use and it syncs with so many of the other Adobe apps. So if you're working in Illustrator, you can use the cloud library to make sure everything is up to date. And it just makes my life so much easier. Plus, I can work collaboratively with Katie or Emily on any project where we all need to have our hands on it. And it is always up to date. No more sending back massive files, trying to get everyone's feedback. We can just do everything right in Express. Adobe Express offers really effortless ways to make reels, TikTok videos, flyers, resumes, banners, and so much more with an all-in-one app for fast and easy content creation. So I might be using it for pitch decks, but there is so much more you can do within it. If you haven't tried Express yet, you literally already have it. Go ahead and give it a try and see how much more you can supercharge your workflow. The reason I wanted to have this guest on was because I've been watching your stories and I love just you're so vulnerable and honest and it just feels so authentic following you. Can you say who you are and do like a little introduction of what you do?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Callum. Some of you might know me, some of you might not. I am a trained graphic designer. I think I've been freelancing now for about 7 years. Before that, just working in-house with lots of brands. And then, yeah, I kind of accidentally turned into a content creator, social media influencer. I mean, I never would ever call myself an influencer, as not the term that really works for me. Yeah. But yeah, someone that posts content and videos online, and it's somehow come part of my career.
Yeah.
Without really planning that to happen.
What is your like chosen design? Like if you had to get hired for any design project, what would be your dream? What's your dream client? What's your ideal situation for your freelance work? Because you have like these 2 buckets in your business or more.
I mean, it's interesting when I get asked this question. Weird, because literally the day I went freelance, I got contacted by my dream client at the time, which was Nike. They're obviously the massive clothing brand, shoe brand. Yeah. Just out of pure luck that I knew the right people. So it was so crazy to me that I went freelance, and then the day later I was starting to work on these retail branding projects for Nike and designing graphics that were going in all the big stores in Europe. And so I wish I said, I was like, started from the bottom and crawled my way up to the dream climb, but it actually just was something that just happened on day one. Yeah. And I know that's ridiculous and that's not how it goes normally. So that was probably my dream client, just because it's such a massive brand that everyone knows. As soon as you mention that you've worked with someone like Nike, there's suddenly an amount of respect, I guess, that you get from that. Dream clients now, I'd say just anything that aligns with my values. I think for a long time I did work in, like apparel, clothing, brands. And I've mentioned this before on another podcast where I just said, I didn't really care about the actual brand's sales or success that much, because it's bad for the environment if you're constantly trying to sell as many products, and they want you to buy the next cool shoe and things. So I was like, as a designer, I just don't care about this. So I would just say anyone that kind of aligns with my morals. I just recently finished working with Oatly, the oat milk brand, for 3 years. I freelanced for them, and as a vegan, very typical vegan, I'm already talking about it, but we're already 3 minutes into the podcast. Yeah. But no, as a vegan, working with someone like Oatly was just like
Yeah.
incredible because I could use my design skills, but then also ethically and morally, I was working with a brand that was like
Yeah.
perfect for me. So I think that is now my aim, to work with brands
I
that
love
just really
that.
connect with me.
I think
Yeah.
that Katie and I feel the same. Like, it doesn't matter if we're doing a branding project or print or something for the web. Like, all that matters is that there's like creative freedom and like an enjoyable experience working with people. I think that's one of the best things about this like umbrella of graphic design is that it can apply to so many different projects, whether it's like designing an interior space. Not that we're interior designers, although I know most of us think we are. But like
About to say, we all think we are as we're
we
graphic designers.
truly do. We're about to start a home renovation or an addition, and I'm like, I can do this. I'll figure this out. It's really challenging. But anyway, I love to hear that. And that's just one piece of your business. Is that the majority of your business is freelance, or is the education and the content creation financially more of your work?
Well, yeah, it started as just graphic design, freelancing. That was what I was doing 5 days a week, mixing. There were sometimes I was super busy and working weekends, nights, and it was just graphics. That was it. And then the lovely pandemic happened, and overnight, freelancers obviously don't have any security in general. So I think I lost pretty much every client that I had. I think every now and again I was working with an agency on some very small Nike projects, but that was pretty much it. I'd lost kind of everything, which that's just how it was. Everyone was kind of in that situation. So I just needed to do something with my time. So that's when I started doing social media, as everyone did. I know people either started baking or they started content creation. It was like one or the other. I went into the content creation. And then in a short way of summarizing it, it snowballed very, very fast. Like I posted a few videos, and I think in the first kind of month, some just went really viral, and all of a sudden I had 100,000 followers kind of overnight. And then content creation just kind of became the job. I started getting brand deals and contacts through that. So it's kind of shifted now, and I still do a lot of graphic work, but social media, I would say, is now like 70%. Wow.
Yeah.
And I could go into if I'm happy about that, but I don't know if there's the time for that.
Yes, no,
but...
there's time. We want to talk about it because I think for Good Type, it was never, and for both of our personal accounts, like it's never been virality that's gotten us where we are. And I post more on TikTok, but like even on Good Type, we don't have videos that get like 1 million views. And so for us, it's been like a very slow roll. And so I can't imagine all the feelings and the experiments and just emotions that come up when it happens so quick that you're like, this is a beast. This is like out of control. I did not expect this. And I think everyone quote unquote wants that, but they really have no idea what comes with that territory. And for Katie and I, like content creating is not, I wouldn't say it's easy. Like it is.
Well, especially not for me. You're way better at it, but for some reason it feels like just hanging over my head anytime we have like anything to film, and it seems like the biggest deal for some reason. I just can't like wrap my brain around.
It's not enjoyable to you.
Maybe. I'm always like, I enjoy it once it's done. I'm like, look what I made. Yeah. But the process of just stepping outside of my regular work day and my workflow and just filming something is the biggest mind hurdle for me for some reason. But Alana, you're more natural at it, but you have more emotions tied to it, I think.
I do. Yeah. So, and Callum, I'd love to hear like your perspective on all this, but I like ebb and flow through the emotions of being like, oh, we should like post more, or we should do more, or this wasn't received well. And I like definitely have more like ego attached to it than Katie does. But I also so I just bought a brick, which is like you tap your phone to it and it'll block your apps. It's amazing.
That's so interesting you say that, because I was just looking at brick literally last weekend.
No, like obsessed. And last week I was like, I caught myself feeling like I was just being advertised things that I like didn't ask for from friends. It's like, I didn't sign up to hear your rant about this. And I'm not saying I'm gonna like, it's people I don't know. It's like the people telling you should parent one way, or you should eat one way, or you should dress one way, or you should design one way. And I've loved that your videos are typically like coming from a place, because a lot of them are educational, And they're coming from a place of like, this is something I learned, not a place of don't do it this way, try it this way instead. And I'm really sick of seeing the same video recreated by the same couple of like quote unquote design influencers. And I'm not thinking of anyone in particular. I'm just thinking of when we're scrolling, getting the same thing that's telling us we're doing something wrong and that we should do it another way. Whereas I feel like yours are always, hey, this is what I learned. Do you like this? Would you try this? And, you know, any virality comes with like a double-edged sword no matter what. And so, yeah, what has your like experience been with that happening so quickly? And how do you, how are you okay?
Start with how are you?
Yeah.
I mean, your first point I find really interesting, that you mentioned just kind of how I show up in my videos, my educational. There's probably lots of people listening that don't know what my videos are.
Yeah.
Basically, they're just educational content, mainly about Adobe programs or just design programs in general. And I would say, because I always just say there's no right or wrong way to do something. It's like at the end of the day, you're designing something you're trying to create something or make something look a certain way. It doesn't really matter how you get to that point, as long as the outcome is what you're wanting to achieve. So sometimes in my comments, they're like, I can't believe you do it this way. You should be doing it this way. This is smarter. And I'm like, but my way works. So that's the most important thing is if it works, that's great. So I always try and show up in that way, that I'm not trying to say I'm some expert and you should follow exactly what I say. And this is the correct way. I just say, this is how you can do it. If you know a better way, please let me know. Let's talk about it. So this is kind of how I want to show up, is just, we're all in this together. It's not like I am the design god and you must save my video and follow exactly like that.
Yeah, you're just like a hub for the conversation. Yeah, you're like,
I just try and keep it honest and
I like that.
So I think that's what the like origin of Good Type is as well. It's like a place for people to nerd out over type. And then we typically don't have a lot of trolls, but we've had some people like comment on when grammar is incorrect, or if there's something like if we post about AI, people are like, how dare you even talk about it? And because there's two of us and because Good Type is a brand name that people know before they know Katie and Alana or even Bodhi, our founder, there's like a we're one step removed. And so no one's like, it doesn't feel like it's a personal attack on us. Sometimes I take it personally, even though it's like clearly not a personal attack on us. But yours is all you. So does that ever like mess with your emotions? And if so, like, how do you deal with that?
Luckily, I think I guess this is why I still am doing it. Luckily, I think I have a thick skin in that side of things. If I get lots of, especially when I'm talking about AI, because again, when I talk about AI, I just say, I'm showing you guys what you can do. I'm not endorsing it or saying I personally use it or you should use it. I'm just saying, here is the option for you. But when I do get really negative comments, I just never seem to care because I just think it's just a design video. There's so much terrible stuff going on in the world. If you hate something that I'm talking about in a design video, like, come on, please, can we, get some perspective? So it really doesn't actually bother me because I just think it's so ridiculous to be wound up by anything I make because it's just so unimportant in the grand scheme of things.
Have you always been able to have that perspective, or is that something that took you a while to get to?
I think I've kind of always had that. I know that sounds really sick to say that, like, oh, I've always had thick skin, it's always been amazing, but I think I've always had a bit of I don't really care. I'm envious
of that. That's, I think, the greatest tool you can have as a content creator is the thick skin and the ability to take yourself out of it and be like, this isn't about me. And also, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. We're just a mote of dust floating in a sunbeam.
We're literally so insignificant. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Katie and I have this thing that we say to each other all the time, that there's no such thing as an art emergency. Like nothing that we do, like you were saying, is brain surgery or like going to, I mean, sure, design is really impactful, but like nothing that we're doing is that, it's not that important. Like it's important, but it's not.
This is what we say, all the designers at Oatly. We would always say, we're just making oat milk. Like that is it. It's just oat milk. It's water and oats. Like there is no design emergencies. We're just selling oat milk.
Yeah.
No, that's so hilarious. My husband and I watched The Pit recently. I know it's not real, but it's very realistic, and it just makes you think about the people that are actually out there like saving lives every day, and like what goes on in like an emergency room. The Pit. It's a show on HBO, I think, that's like basically inside an emergency room.
So not something I would watch.
No. It's got a lot of graphic stuff, but like overall it just made me think about like every episode. At the end of the episode, my husband and I were just like, wow, what perspective this gives us of like what somebody's job could look like. That's like the stakes are so high, and we were just laughing. We were like, yeah, I do sound design. My husband was like, yeah, I make little beeps and boops on video games. Yeah, I put little dots over eyes and make sure they're in the right place. And then,
they do the spacing between the letters.
I think it's important to watch a documentary every now and then, or get outside of that and be like, wait, this I don't think is something I need to be really uptight or upset about right now when there's this kind of stuff going on.
I'm thinking 100%. About a friend I have who's a palliative care nurse for kids, which is like basically like hospice care for kids.
The toughest of the toughest.
For kids.
Yeah. And whenever I'm with her, like I obviously don't know what her job looks like. Like I've never shadowed her and I could never understand. But whenever I'm with her, she just like has this kind of calm, and she has 4 children. I mean, under the age of 10. Like it's probably wild. And I'm like, she must just have this I don't know if it's built in her or if it's because of her job, but just like knows where to put her energy. Yeah. And I definitely do envy that. It's like sometimes I take things too seriously and sometimes I overthink things. And I think when it comes to social media, it's like the most toxic thing we can do. And one of the things, Callum, that you've done is like you show up really consistently. I'm not saying you show up every day or like 80 times a day, or I don't know everything about your life, like besides living in Amsterdam and being a vegan. But I think I learned that when I met you in person.
Guy loves oat milk.
We were
when
talking
there was
about
nothing
food.
To eat in Miami.
Yes. Well, and I'm gluten-free, but like if there's a cookie forced in front of me, like I'll take it. It's fine. I won't die. But I think that's why I knew that. Like I didn't know that from like content you post, but I think it's hard to figure out where that line is and then consistently like honor that boundary of like having an online presence versus a real one. And I was thinking about this morning because I bought this brick, which is the thing that like blocks your you can block apps. It's basically like focus mode, except for you like have to go to the brick.
Yeah, it's like a hardcore version.
Yeah, and there's so many apps, but I like this one because it is like physical. And so I had bought it and it like made my mindset so much better. And then I realized I found myself like falling into the patterns again. I hadn't been using it, so I used it this week, and I just like took a moment and I was like, wow, I appreciate what I actually have. And when I do that, I'm less likely to need to go online and scroll when I'm like feeling gratitude for what I have in front of me in the moment, because you're constantly like fed things that you didn't ask for. And sometimes they can be really triggering. And granted, I love social media and I like the conversations and I do enjoy like trying to create things, even if they're just for fun. But I think that like personal boundary is hard for me, especially because some of the things that I want to share are my kids, and I'm like, but I've made a boundary that I'm not going to. And so I made like a close friends list and I'm like, I should use that, and then I just never do it. And I think the consistency and like respecting and honoring that like it's a job and you've created like a person. It's not that you've created a persona, but you have a persona around it and you have your own like guidelines for it. I think that's what's so impressive is like, it's just so consistent and it feels really reliable and it feels very honest and it feels vulnerable at times, but it doesn't like, I don't know. It feels good.
Thanks. I mean, yeah, sometimes I romanticize like sharing more. Like I watch so many designers move onto YouTube and they kind of film a day in the life and all this stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, I just don't know if that's me. I think, yeah, my boundary is set, and I spend so much time on my phone and making already. I'm like, I don't need to now bring that into my whole personal life. Like when I'm going to the supermarket, I must film myself making dinner, and then film myself on a client call.
Bathroom break, that's like a new
all
thing.
All that stuff. Oh, is that? I haven't got to that side of TikTok yet.
I saw that there's like a side of TikTok or something where it's like bathroom breaks, and I don't know if it's like you just go in the bathroom to like get away from your desk. I haven't.
Oh no, I was just joking.
Yeah, I know.
That's
I think
upsetting.
It's like a thing. Like they're like, I gotta get out of here and run to the bathroom for a minute. But like that's not where you want to hang out.
Well, Callum, I'm glad you're not showing us your personal bathroom time.
No, I mean, I live in an Amsterdam apartment, so my bathroom is tiny. I can't even fit a camera in there. It's so small. It's like an airplane bathroom.
Yeah, I also feel like it would just be like I've tried to film a day in the life so many times, and then I'm like, this is exhausting. And then editing.
I also bore myself.
Yeah, you're like, I can only draw these dots on eyes for so long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is. It's challenging because there's so many shiny pennies where, like you said, you're seeing all these other people doing these things, and they're like talking about their success or this is what worked for them, and it's easy to be like, oh well, maybe it'll work for me. And I think Katie and I have had to in our business try different things and see what works. And I know I guess it's not recent, but you started a newsletter like not that long ago, right?
Yeah, I think I started it probably last November.
Yeah,
I
so
think
not
we're
even
edition like 35 or something now.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think I told you this, but we only subscribe to like 3 newsletters, and yours is one of them.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, well, it's every Friday, and so it's just the right pace for me. But it's also full of like things that I'm usually interested in reading, and it's short enough that I can actually get through it without needing to without my ADHD being like, let's check something else out.
Yeah. Can relate.
So yeah, what like made you want to branch out into that? And was there a lot of thought of like, oh, I want to do one other thing, but it could be a podcast, it could be YouTube, it could be whatever. How did you find yourself doing a newsletter, and like, I guess what's your expectation from it?
I mean, we can go deep now.
Yeah.
So I know we spoke about it in the past, like, over DMs. So I know I said I had a thick skin about comments and trolls or whatever, but I don't have a thick skin with comparison. That is really my nemesis, I guess is the term. So someone that's really bad at comparison probably should not be on social media because it's like a terrible combination. But as I said, like my page like snowballed so fast, I didn't really have the choice to even think about it. So I just found myself getting sick of making content, not getting sick, because I don't want to talk negatively about what I'm doing. I enjoy what I'm doing and I'm still going to do it. But I just always found myself looking at other people's pages that were very similar to my content. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 people that are very similar to me, just do tutorials. We've all got similar follower numbers. It's all about like 500,000 followers. And I look at their views like all the time. Like I'm not embarrassed to say this, it's just, I can be honest. I constantly track other people's views and just likes and comments, and it's really bad. I know how unhealthy that is. I think it's just how my brain is wired, that I just constantly want to make sure that I'm doing what they're doing. I'm getting that success that they're getting. And if I don't get those views or those likes, I feel really terrible. And I have shared some stories every now and again when I'm like, okay, I just need to let off some steam and say how I'm feeling. So I think I was like, okay, I need to shift a little bit away from just focusing on social media videos because it's just not mentally doing me any favors. I like sharing things. I like talking about design. I like helping people, educating. So I thought a newsletter would be a good thing to move into, because you don't really fight an algorithm with a newsletter. Obviously, sometimes your stuff can end up in the junk box or the promotions tab, but in general, if people subscribe to a newsletter, they're going to receive it. And you can't look at other people's newsletter stats and see, oh, they've got 20,000 more subscribers than I do. They get so many more readers and their open rate percentage is way higher than mine. And you obviously can't do that. So that sounded perfect for me, that I could have this little corner of the internet where I can't obsess over the numbers and anything like that. So it's been really good for me. Like people say, like, how am I so consistent with the newsletter? But it's generally just, it's the thing I really enjoy, that I can just talk about design and share things I found, and I send out, and that's it. I don't have to worry really about any of the stats.
That's oh my God, I can't even, it like makes me feel cozy inside. Just, I love that. I can totally relate to it. And we have like a deck that we'll send out to sponsors or like partners, and it says our email stats on it. And I have had that feeling too, because our email list is something that we've said, I mean, I think we have a big email list, but we've said time and time again, like it quote unquote should be bigger. Like that's what she said. We've said, like,
get that explicit rating.
Yeah, we've said like
let's use it.
We would like to tap into it more, because it is a place that feels really comfortable, and like you can take away some of the other stuff, and it's a place for us to just write and to talk and share. Like one of the things we do is share other links, and that's what you do as well, like things that we've been reading or open tabs. And I've noticed that sometimes when I like send it out to a partner, I'm like, are they going to think these are bad? Or even our stats for like social media, I'm like, our analytics are not like, oh, might blow you out of the water by any means. And the thing is, you never know the whole picture. And the clients who are judging you based on those numbers are probably clients who like, they're looking for quote unquote an influencer, which I know you said is like a term you're not looking for, but you're not selling a product. And I think that the term influencer in my head, like I know we use it really broadly, but to me, an influencer is someone who is like literally trying to influence you to make a purchase typically. And so they're sharing their whole entire life, and it's usually related to like Amazon or like lifestyle purchases, and that they're going to consistently, like through everything they do, try and not even try, like subtly influence you, because you have built trust with them where you're like, I relate to them, I trust them, and so you end up making a purchase from them. And I think most of the designers in the space who are influencers are not doing that. They're just sharing that somehow it translates because like creator funds or whatever.
I think in general, what you've done, Callum, when you recognize something about yourself and your own mental health and how you relate to people, and you see the way that you're, looking at Instagram with that kind of obsessive comparison lens, that's not healthy for you. I like that, you haven't like obviously given up on that platform, like you're still pursuing that, but you're also like, hey, let me add something to my plate, my workflow, add another, channel that feels good to me. So I'm not just battling with this thing that makes me feel uncomfortable all the time and just trying to, like, I think it is great to, try and get in a better headspace as you move forward, like try and work on that comparison issue. We're all, working on our things, but sometimes you're like, I'm very far from that place right now. Yeah. What do I do in the interim? I'm just either I'm going to sit here and feel crappy, or, I can reach out and find something else that feels better and meets my needs that I have right now. And I think that's really cool that you identified that and kind of pivoted to that place, and it's more of an add-on than a pivot.
I would say I knew deep down that comparison is just something really deep inside me across my whole life. It's not just social media, it's everything. It's people outside of social media. It's what people do for their jobs, how much money they're making, just anything. Like if I can compare something, I will. So I was like, I could see it straight away that this was something I was falling into with social media. And I wouldn't even say it was really an add-on the newsletter. It was really like I lowered the amount of content I was making on Instagram, so then I could focus some on the newsletter. I'm not someone that's like a toxic overworker. I was like, I'm not gonna now work on a Sunday to do my newsletter because I've got to make 3 videos on Instagram. I was like, okay, we're gonna knock that down to 2 videos or 1 video now. I mean, we could talk about toxic productivity on social media as well. That's like a whole another thing that I'm trying to fight.
That's an even better example than I realized, just because of the example you're setting of getting rid of the things that don't serve you in a way to make room for the thing that is better suited. So I think, people listening, if you're coming from that kind of a standpoint where you're really struggling with one aspect of social media, but you want to communicate with your audience, I think thinking on the lines of Callum there, where you're like, okay, what does feel good? Can I get a little creative and do something like out of the box, or, you know, something different that just doesn't make me want to hurl? I think that's always a good guideline.
I think, and we're all like craving community, and I think wherever you can like build that community, that is like that's what makes me feel good. Like if I get a comment on Instagram, it's nice for like a second, but if I get someone replying to my newsletter, I think about it for like an hour. I'm like, that person has generally sat on their laptop and read my newsletter and then replied, and because I put a question at the very, very bottom, so if someone answers that, I'm like, wow, they've like gone all the way through it.
Yeah, way more meaningful.
Yeah, like you can obviously want all the followers and things, but I think you can have, like 500,000 casual watchers, but if you just have like 1,000 real like super fans, don't want to say fans, on your newsletter, that just feels way more meaningful for me.
Yeah, I'm curious what you would tell someone, like if there's a young designer following you and they've seen your content and they really want to become someone like you and they're comparing themselves and it's holding them back. What would you say to someone who came to you and was like, I look up to you, but I'm and they don't know that you feel this way about comparison? Like, what would you tell them? How would you like,
it's like the blind steering the blind.
Yes,
like I don't know enough. I would say
sometimes those are the best people for the job.
Yeah. I mean, it's very different because a lot of designers share their work online. That's kind of how they start. They really just want to get their portfolio out there and find clients. I was a little bit different. I didn't really share my work so much. I just wanted to educate. So when you share your work, it's a lot more personal. I think when you do get bad comments, that can really hurt you because it's actually your baby, like your work. As we're all designers, like that is really your child. So I think when you get those sort of comments, that can really hurt. If someone doesn't like the way I use Illustrator, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So I would just say, to someone that came to me, first of all, just don't care for a long time. Like I think, especially when the numbers are low, like when you've got low followers, you're just starting out, just experiment and just post whatever and just see what sticks. That's kind of the best thing to do. See what your audience likes, do more of the things they like, but then also don't lose your own self. Obviously, I noticed that lots of people that follow me really like when I use like Adobe Firefly and kind of do these, strangely enough, it's AI, but they seem to enjoy it when it's that. Whenever you do kind of any like 3D cool texture on something, they always went viral. They'd always get millions of views. And then I like made loads of different versions. I have them sat in my drafts and I'm like, I should just post these out because I know they'll do well. But I was like, I just don't want to, that doesn't really interest me that much all the time. So I think just don't lose yourself. Do what people want if you want to grow a certain amount and get some eyes on your channel. But also just try and stay true to actually what you enjoy. Because that'll keep you being consistent. Because you have to be consistent.
Well, and also it'll get you like the fruits of your labor. Like if you post stuff that the audience wants, but you're not interested, then you're going to get jobs or sponsored posts or whatever that follow that instead of what you're actually really interested in. How do you
I just add to that really quickly?
Yeah.
Just the way that you're advising to approach that and trying to, not care as much. I know it can be difficult to just be like, don't care. But a tip that has been working for Alana and I, or at least I can speak for myself, it's been working for me is, this year we've talked a lot about approaching things as experiments in our business. And I think that mindset of kind of trying to approach it as if I'm like a scientist and I'm just trying to look at the logical, the facts, the numbers, I mean, when I actually am creating the art or the piece of work that I'm going to post somewhere, obviously that has emotion behind it. But once I'm, kind of having this experimental mindset and I put it out there, then somehow that kind of gives my ego like a little bit of a step back from it where I'm just like, and the stakes just don't feel as high and as personal. So that's definitely helped me to just reframe it or have like multiple experiments going at the same time or like backup options so you don't feel like all your eggs are in one basket.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, definitely when I post something on socials, when I know it's very different from what I normally do, the pressure is actually, less for me as well, because I just think they're probably not going to like it because it's completely different to what I normally do. So I definitely agree with that it's nice to just be in your experimental era, and it allows you to be a little bit more free, because there's just not as much expectations there, I think.
We also found that when we put that scientist, analyst, I don't know, researcher hat on, and we look at the insights, it's so much more helpful, especially if you're comparing, like, well, this did well and this didn't. Why? What did people respond to about this? Or, oh, that's good data for us to use next time. Like, we did a 30-day experiment where we did LinkedIn once and we did Instagram. And when we did Instagram, like, the answer was so clear. And then when we were done, we said, okay, do we want to keep going in that direction? Like, did it feel good or did it not? And so, with that, like, lens of gathering data, it was really helpful. And also I realized 30 days is like not the longest time, but even just 30 days, we were able to gather the information and then take
I think we would have felt like, if we just felt the emotions of that experience and not really looked at the data, I think we would have been a lot more discouraged at the end of it, because, there was a lot of non-virality, a lot of non-working posts, a lot of things that we put out there that flopped. But when we actually, put that aside for a second and just dug into the numbers and the trends and like what actually happened, we found a lot more successes that were, small successes, but were showing us kind of information that we could use to tweak things in the future. And so it was, like you're saying, Alana, it's so much more helpful to have that in addition to just sitting with the emotion. You're like, okay, this is something, yes, I feel this way, but here's what I can do next.
Yeah, I think, as long as you learn, again, it's just a social media video, like how much can you learn from it? But as long as you like learn something and get a little bit better every time, like they only say you're only as good as your last video, I think that's important, because I will dissect my videos and figure out what I don't like. And, I think as long as there's a positive growth within your skills, that's nice.
And when I say we took things away and we're looking at the numbers, I don't want it to seem like we were, breaking things apart into ridiculous minutia. It wasn't like, oh, at what point should I put this overlay in the video to retain? No. It wasn't like that. It was more of like, okay, we're figuring out that if we just post our work with no story behind it, or no thing that the viewer actually gets out of it for themselves, then that's not going to be as successful as if we turn it into something that like benefits us and benefits them. And that was like a greater lesson that we learned from it.
Okay, I am curious with this competition, like thinking like competitive kind of spirit, comparison, not competitive, comparison. Is there anything
you could say it's the same.
I mean, really, it is, but it doesn't seem like you're coming at it like I'm gonna beat you. Like it seems like you're coming at it of like, I'm not keeping up. Like it definitely seems like a reflection on your inner voice rather than like you taking it out on someone else. So I'm curious if there's anything that you is there like a mental checklist that you do to make sure that your videos and your content always feels like you and not like a repeat of because like posting tutorials, like you said, there's a handful of other people doing it. Is there anything that you do that you feel like keeps your work authentic to you? Or is it just like a gut check?
That's a difficult question. I think you can definitely, and I think I've done it in the past for sure. You see something that's blowing up online and you're like, I got to jump on this. I've got to talk about this thing too. And you will notice it when there's like some crazy new tool that's launched. Like every single content creator will be posting about it on the same week. And sometimes I do feel a bit icky that I'm like, I'm just sharing something that I definitely know that someone else has already spoke about yesterday. It's difficult. Like with that's the tricky thing is when you're just posting design tutorials, there's only so much you can do. Right. There's only so much uniqueness you can spin on it. I know probably my university teacher will say something like, no, you can be as creative as you want. And there's so many different ways to do something. But showing a tool, it's like, there's only so many ways I can actually show it off. And
Yeah.
sometimes I do think, oh, this looks a bit similar to someone else's video. And yeah, it can be tricky. I'm definitely not the best at being the most unique. I mean, most of my videos are just the same. I'm just stood at my desk making a stupid face and screen recording, and that's pretty much it.
That I don't know. I don't know if it's a gut check, but I do think, like, I know a Callum video when I think there's a way that you talk that feels approachable. I think there's like, yeah, the funny face, or like the repetitive things that you do, or the way your studio is, or whatever it is. Like, there's a couple of things that I can identify. And also the one that I said at the beginning is like, you're never telling someone they're doing it wrong. Like, you're like, I didn't know Illustrator could do this. And it just always feels conversational and educational instead of like shaming. Like, you did this wrong, sucks to be you. It always feels very welcome and inclusive. And I think there are a lot of things that people looking from the outside in would say, oh yeah, Callum does this. Like, sure, someone else shared the same tip, but they actually did share it in a different way. And those might be harder to identify for yourself. But I feel like we could definitely see that. We have this conversation with every artist about their style, so it definitely translates.
I actually find this really useful because I think that's just naturally happened. I don't think I've actually like set out to be like that. But I think that's always actually how I want to be. I want to, like, I'm super vulnerable, like mainly more on my newsletter now. Like, I will talk about freelancing life and when things aren't going well, or if I've lost a client, and I will never try and put myself as this like person that's the best and everything's going amazing. So I think that is how I'm trying to show up, is like, I am just a regular designer, just like the people watching. I'm not some super amazing 6-7 figure designer that you all need to bow down to. I try and just keep it super chilled and real, and because I think that's what people look for. I think people want to feel like understood and relate to someone that is going through the challenges that all designers and freelancers go through. And I'm personally, I don't relate to people that are just always talking about their wins and their successes and saying that they know everything and you don't, and you should feel bad about that.
Yeah, unrelatable.
And then when you pull the curtain back, there's something going on there that's that's not how they relate it.
Yeah, 100%.
It feels like, what's that guy who did like the carnivore diet or whatever, and then you find out he was taking steroids the whole time.
Was it like that? Is that Liver King guy? Is that his name?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes. Bless you for knowing that.
I mean, he's like a walking steroid machine, I think. I'm scared we're going to get cancelled for talking about this. But
I don't think he's listening.
Liver King. He did get arrested in Austin, I believe.
Whoa. This whole conversation took a big turn.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah, people can show up in one way, and
a metaphor example.
No, I think showing up as yourself is really important, and like we said, having those boundaries of what you think is relatable. Like, you don't talk about being vegan, and that means you're solely pretty much talking about design. And so sometimes you'll talk about packaging and you'll talk about Illustrator, and it's like just a few things that people can always relate to, and it just always feels really welcome. There was something else I wanted to ask. You also teach, you have some courses, and I'm curious if sharing tutorials, because when you started off, you were doing freelance, and now you're doing a lot of tutorials and content, but do you think your social media presence is also bringing you potential freelance clients, or no, because they think you're just a teacher?
Yes. So, I mean, at the start of this year, I wanted to make a shift because social media had really gone up, and my graphic design was getting less and less. And I really want it to be 50-50. Okay. And I've made moves this year. So I've actually just signed on with a new client yesterday. So I think I am now actively trying to get back to more graphic design. But that can be tricky in itself because being totally honest, like, social media is paid so much more than graphic design.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And obviously we have bills to pay. We shouldn't be driven just by money. But sometimes when I look at the amounts I get paid for posting some kind of content with a brand attached to it, to doing a couple of days in design studio, I'm like, the social media will always win financially.
Yeah.
So it can be tricky. Like I live in a capital city. It's very expensive. So it's like money is important. I need to earn money. Like it's not cheap. I mean, we all feel it. Like cost of living is crazy right now. So social media just generally is financially better. But I just knew it's not something that actually generally fills my heart with passion, like constantly just sharing design tips. Like I love it, but it's not everything. Graphic design is my number one. So I have made a shift now that I do want to start showcasing my work more. Like one big project is I made my portfolio website, like I updated it all. That's, I think, everything that every graphic designer wants to suddenly update their portfolio. And none of us actually do it, but I actually did it this year.
Yay.
So that is live. So that was kind of step one. And then I've probably posted like 3 videos now of some branding projects on my socials, which is new for me because I've never really done that. So I am actively now trying to slightly show a little bit more of my design side of things.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will bring on some clients and also shut up some of the haters, because a lot of people put me in the box of just a design influencer or someone that just educates, and I was like, I'm also a graphic designer. Like I'm not just someone that educates.
I mean,
I'm nodding along with this whole thing because we're in a very similar place, and this cycle is such a classic one that I think when we've met so many people who have gone through this, and I think there's like a point of like a junction where you have to kind of either make that decision to like rebalance it, because we see people that start out as artists, they like dip their toe into education and social media and see that it's making more money and then spend more time there, and also there's probably a passion behind that too, but then you get away from the thing that you originally tried to do because you only have so much time in a day, and again the money is better in another place. And then I think there's that moment where you can either say like, I'm gonna keep, like there's a lot of educators in different spaces, different industries that stop doing the thing totally, but they still sell their education as if they're doing that thing.
100%. Yeah.
But they're not. And that's what, we're talking about with the Liver King and the selling the dream. And then you peek behind the curtain and you're like, oh, they're making $300,000 a year, but all of that is selling their course about how to do the thing that they're no longer doing. So you can either take that path, or you can, take the path of like rebalancing, like figuring out how to integrate those two things. And it is difficult. And I appreciate you being candid about that, because I think it's often mistaken and misunderstood. And those people seem to be, how are you achieving these numbers? How are you doing that? What am I doing wrong? And the reality is you're not doing anything wrong. They're not actually making that money doing the art.
And I want to add that like, there's nothing wrong with being quote unquote just a teacher or just an influencer. It's that a lot of us have like maybe we followed the money, or we followed the like where the work was or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, wait, my gut is like missing out on, or my like heart is missing this thing that fueled all of this. And so there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, it's not, I don't mean that it's an innately deceptive thing, but I think people can get into that cycle if you're not careful, and if you don't check in with your authentic self and like remind yourself of, hey, this is,
and it's also just good to try things. Like we're all creative people, so it's like social media is really exciting, and making videos is really exciting because I've never really done that before. So it was really nice to do all those things, and now that I've been doing it consistently for like 3 years or something, you can just sit back and think, right, is this making me completely happy? And then the answer for me was no. I was like, I miss working with clients. So it's good to do that. You should always check in, I think, no matter what you do. If you're
just a little recalibration.
Yeah, 100%.
We definitely found ourselves in the exact same position, and we're truly still navigating it and figuring out exactly what it's going to look like. And
and we genuinely love like helping other artists achieve their goals, and so that's not something I ever want to give up. But it's just like sometimes you notice the scales are leaning a little too much in one direction, and you have to just, again, like we are willing to make less money in order to fill our internal bucket a little bit more in the way that feels better. And I mean, that's a difficult compromise to make. And you also have to be in a place where you can feed your family and, do all of those things too. So
it's so true. Like my partner was literally just saying to me yesterday, they were like, when are you going to monetize your newsletter? When are you going to launching the course you've been speaking about? And it's like, I'm okay with making less money than maybe what I could be making, because I have a certain amount of followers, or I could probably just sell whatever and sell a course. I could probably make good money from that. But I was like, until it feels right and I feel like it's actually something that is good for me and good for other people, it's like, I don't have that desire to just,
Also, courses are so much work. I think people do I think assume that courses are like a one and done, but the logistics behind it are so much. And even selling it, I think just like Instagram has changed and social media has changed, and even the freelance landscape has changed. I mean, so many people we've talked to with huge, big art directors who used to hire freelancers are like, we just don't do it anymore. We have to use our internal resources. But there's so much with the course space that I think has shifted, and there's so much work that goes into it as well that I don't think people realize. And I think maybe
I'm scared to start. I'm scared to do it.
I mean, you'd be great. You'd be great.
I'm worried to but open
it's not
that door.
It's not like a 1 week thing where all of a sudden you have a course up and then it's bing, bang, boom, you're done. It's like, yes, it can be passive income, but it's not like you close your eyes and you're a millionaire. And I'm glad you're taking the time to figure out what makes the most sense for you.
Yeah. And just obviously we need to follow the money to a certain extent, but it's just all about what makes me happy and also what my audience actually wants.
And you're right. You have to do it a lot of times to figure that out. You can't just theorize. You have to boots on the ground. Let me try this thing and try it on and see if it fits or if I freaking hate it.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I love chatting with you, and I really love your newsletter. Can you do a shout out of where people can sign up for your newsletter and your username and all that?
Yeah. My name on socials is Callum's Creative Club. There's a link there on my bio where you can sign up. I'm sure my URL will also be in the show notes, I guess, of this. And then as we already mentioned, it goes out every Friday, and it just is all nice little juicy things I find about the design world. So there's free assets I find, or mock-ups, news, awards, think pieces. Sometimes me ranting about social media algorithms, but
Awesome.
That's pretty much it.
Love that. Thank you so much for coming on. This was great.
This went really fast. I loved it.
It usually does. It's really fun for us.
It.
I feel like we got real lucky that we're allowed to just talk to people who we admire for an hour. So thanks so much for coming on, and we'll chat soon. All good things.
Yes. Bye.